cringiest thing you've seen a bride and groom do for their wedding. My sister demanded all 150 guests remove their shoes for her pure ceremony. My sister Catherine was getting married to this guy Brad last summer, and she was completely obsessed with having the most Instagram perfect spiritual wedding ever. She hired a wedding planner, 3 different photographers, and even this crystal energy consultant who was supposed to cleanse the venue with sage. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. 3 weeks before the wedding, all 150 guests received these elegant cream-colored cards in the mail. I thought they were maybe ceremony programs or something. Nope, the card said, "To honor the sacred energy of our union, please arrive barefoot or with clean socks only. Shoes carry negative vibrations from the outside world and will not be permitted in our ceremony space." I read it 5 times thinking it was some kind of joke, but knowing Catherine, I called her immediately. "Katie, what's this about everyone being barefoot at your wedding?" She launched into this whole speech about how shoes track in negative energy from all the places we've walked, and she wanted their wedding to be completely pure and spiritually elevated. She'd read about it on some wellness blog and decided it was perfect for their vibe. The crazy part was that half our family has mobility issues. Our 82-year-old grandfather uses a walker and needs special orthotic shoes. Our aunt has diabetes and can't walk barefoot. Multiple cousins have foot surgeries and need supportive footwear. Wedding day comes and it's a complete disaster from the start. The venue is this outdoor garden with gravel pathways and wooden decking. People are arriving in the parking lot staring at their feet trying to figure out how to navigate sharp stones and splinters without shoes. I watch our grandfather slowly making his way from the car, using his walker, wearing just socks on the gravel. He's wincing with every step. Our aunt is practically crying, explaining to anyone who will listen that she medically cannot walk barefoot. The wedding planner, this stressed out woman named Jennifer, is trying to manage the chaos. She's standing at the entrance with a basket, collecting shoes like it's airport security. That's when things get really ridiculous. Brad's boss arrives wearing a $3,000 suit and $500 Italian leather dress shoes. He takes one look at the gravel pathway and says, "I'm not walking barefoot through rocks in my best suit." Jennifer nervously approaches him with her shoe basket. "Sir, the bride specifically requested." "The bride can request whatever she wants," he interrupts. "I'm wearing shoes." He walks straight into the ceremony area, shoes clicking on the wooden deck. Catherine, who's watching from behind a tree in her wedding dress, looks like she's about to have a meltdown. But it gets worse. The minister, Father Rodriguez, who's been doing weddings for 30 years, shows up wearing his traditional black dress shoes. When Jennifer approaches him with the shoe basket, he just stares at her. "I'm not conducting a wedding ceremony in my socks," he says firmly. "That's not happening." Catherine comes storming over in her bare feet, train dragging behind her. "Father Rodriguez, we discussed the spiritual significance of this. Shoes carry negative energy." "Young lady," he replies, "I've been married for 40 years and conducted over 500 weddings. The negative energy isn't coming from our footwear." By now, maybe half the guests have complied and are standing around in socks or bare feet, looking uncomfortable and cold. The other half are still wearing shoes and clustered near the back, refusing to participate in what they clearly think is ridiculous. Catherine's photographer is trying to get shots that don't show everyone's feet, but it's impossible. Every angle shows either people's bare feet on wooden decking or confused guests in the parking lot, still debating whether to remove their shoes. Then the rebellion really starts. Catherine's maid of honor, Jessica, shows up carrying a pair of bedazzled house slippers and announces loudly, "If we're doing this, I'm at least wearing something fabulous." Other people start getting creative. Someone brought fuzzy animal slippers. Another guest shows up in bright pink socks with toes. Brad's cousin is wearing swim fins, claiming they're technically not shoes. The photographer looks exhausted trying to avoid all the ridiculous footwear, while Catherine keeps hissing, "These aren't the aesthetic shots I wanted." The ceremony finally starts with maybe 80% of people actually barefoot, 15% wearing creative alternatives, and the remaining 5% just refusing to comply. Our grandfather made it to his seat but spent the entire ceremony shifting uncomfortably, his feet clearly in pain. During the vows, you can hear people shuffling and wincing because the wooden deck has splinters and it's getting cold. Instead of focusing on Catherine and Brad's romantic moment, everyone's distracted by their own discomfort. The best part was during the ring exchange. Catherine's 6-year-old flower girl starts crying loudly because she stepped on something sharp and her foot is bleeding. The whole ceremony stops while people help this little girl, and Catherine is visibly furious that her perfect moment is interrupted. Father Rodriguez looks at Catherine and Brad and says, "Perhaps we should prioritize guest safety over ceremony aesthetics." But Catherine doubles down. Everyone knew the requirements. This is about spiritual purity. That's when Brad's grandmother, this tiny 85-year-old woman, stands up and says in a voice that carries across the entire ceremony, "Honey, if your marriage needs everyone else to be uncomfortable to succeed, you're starting off wrong." Half the remaining guests started putting their shoes back on right there during the ceremony. Catherine is trying to smile for the photographer while clearly dying inside as her perfect spiritual wedding turns into a footwear rebellion. The reception was even worse because people spent the entire time complaining about cold feet, splinters, and how ridiculous the whole thing was. Looking at the wedding photos later, instead of elegant ceremony shots, there are pictures of people grimacing in pain, confused guests holding shoes, and a flower girl crying over her bleeding foot. Catherine's dream of Instagram perfect spiritual photos became a documentation of how self-absorbed demands can ruin everyone's experience, including your own.